Geoverse Part 2 To Love is Human Chapter 2 Hope is Extinguished. As I stood at the pedestrian crossing, the events of that particular night began flashing before my eyes. Crossing the road, almost getting run over, yelling at the driver, the car turning around and coming back, the driver getting out and punching me, the beating, the gun. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the memories. John put a hand on my shoulder. "I'm here, mate," he said reassuringly. "Let's look for clues." I nodded and we both began scouring the area, looking for anything that could help me in my quest to return to Equestria.
Oh, come on, where is it?
Spike groaned as he looked through a mountain of books and scrolls. His eyes were bloodshot and he yawned frequently.
"Damn, it's not here either,"
he yelled, slamming the book he was reading. A dull thud echoed through the area. Putting the book in a pile with the others he'd been looking through, Spike buried his head in his hands.
"Spike?"
The voice calling his name was full of warm concern. The young dragon looked up to see Princess Celestia in front of him. He leapt off his chair and bowed deeply.
"Princess Celestia," he said quickly, "what brings you here?"
"One of my guards told me he let you in here, but hadn't seen you come out," Celestia replied. "I was worried, so I thought I'd check up on you."
Spike smiled. "I'm fine," he said reassuringly. "I'm just trying to find something for Twilight."
Celestia lowered her head and looked at the ground. "How is Twilight?" she asked softly. There was a pause as Spike tried to find the right words. Eventually he sighed.
"She's not good," he said glumly. "She sent me up here to find a scroll which details how to talk to the dead."
He let out a deep sigh.
"But I can't find it anywhere. I'm beginning to think it doesn't even exist."
He deadpanned. Celestia nodded and trotted over to the shelves. Her horn lit up and a scroll floated down. She passed the scroll to Spike, who read it carefully, his face lighting up as he did so.
"But how did you—"
he spluttered. A small smile appeared on Celestia's face. "It was under S, for spirits," she said with a small chuckle. Spike slapped his forehead, dragging his hand down his face and muttering to himself. He put the scroll in his bag.
"Thank you, Princess," he said, offering another bow.
"It was my pleasure, Spike," Celestia replied. "If this is what Twilight needs in order to get closure and move on, who am I to get in the way of that?" Spike nodded and prepared to leave before Celestia laid a hoof on his shoulder. "Give Twilight my regards, Spike," she said, "and tell her that I will come and see her as soon as I can."
"I will, Princess,"
he replied. As Spike left the library, Celestia looked out the window. A single tear ran down her cheek. "If you're out there, Geo," she said softly, "then please come back. Twilight needs you."
"Damn it, there's nothing here!"
I shouted.
"I couldn't find anything either, mate," John said, shaking his head. "I'm sorry."
I sighed. "It's not your fault, John," I replied. "I guess the only way to get back is to nearly die again. But fuck that idea." I laughed weakly.
"Let's go back to my place,"
John said, laying a reassuring hand on my shoulder.
"We'll get drunk and you can tell me all about Equestria. It sounds like a great place."
I smiled and nodded, and the two of us started walking. "I guess I'll concentrate on getting another job then," I said. "I quit my job at the warehouse because 1, it was boring as fuck, and 2, it brought back memories of that night." John smiled sympathetically before something caught his eye. He walked over to a telegraph pole. Stapled to it was an advert. "I am a local scientist looking to hire people to assist me with manual labor in my laboratory. If you think you can handle working in a fast-paced, often chaotic environment, then you might just be the person I am looking for. please contact Dr. Sorrow on the number below."
"There you go, mate,"
John said, giving me a nudge.
"You've done warehouse work, so this'll be right up your street."
I read the notice and nodded.
"A job's a job,"
I said as I made a note of the contact details. I looked at John. "You want to get in on this?" I asked him. "After all, your job at the courthouse was only temporary." John hesitated for a moment before shrugging.
"Yeah, why not?"
he said. "We'll call Dr. Sorrow when we get back to my place." As we walked up the street, I had a smile on my face, but on the inside I was tearing myself apart with grief, thinking that I would never see Equestria or Twilight Sparkle ever again. As Spike burst into the library triumphantly, holding the scroll above his head like a sword, his heart was warmed by the sight which greeted him. Twilight, still enveloped in the group hug from her friends, and all of them fast asleep. Spike smiled and gently closed the door before going to join them. As he did so, he stepped on a squeaky floorboard. He froze in place as he saw Twilight's eyes flutter open.
"Spike?"
she asked warily.
"Is that you?"
Spike chuckled nervously.
Yeah,"
he said sheepishly.
"It's me. I got that scroll you wanted, and Princess Celestia says to tell you that she'll try and visit at some point."
"That's nice," Twilight said, still half asleep. She closed her eyes and settled down again. Suddenly her eyes shot open, and she sat bolt upright.
"You have the scroll?"
she shouted. The sudden outburst forced the other 5 mares wide awake.
"What the hey?"
Applejack groaned.
"What's going on? What time is it?"
She looked around and saw Spike.
"Spike has that scroll I wanted,"
Twilight squealed with delight.
"I can finally talk to my lost love."
"What, now?" Spike said, stifling a yawn.
"Can't it wait until tomorrow, Twilight? I'm really tired."
Twilight opened her mouth to speak, but she closed it upon seeing Spike's bloodshot eyes and the pleading look on his face.
"Okay, Spike,"
she said, lying down on the couch. "Tomorrow, leave the scroll on the table and get some sleep." Spike did as he was asked and climbed upstairs to bed. The next morning, Twilight leapt off the couch excitedly, waking up the others in the process. As they stretched, she levitated the scroll over to her and read it quietly to herself.
"It seems simple enough,"
she said as she looked up from the scroll.
"And you can imagine how keen I am to try it."
Her friends nodded.
"So let's do it already,"
said Rainbow Dash, clapping her hoofs together.
"Just tell us what to do, Twi."
Twilight smiled and looked at the scroll again.
"According to this, we need to stand in a circle."
As she spoke, she glanced around the untidy library and winced.
"Just as soon as I tidy up."
Twilight's horn glowed as she cast a spell. A flash of light enveloped the library, causing the others to shut their eyes. Upon opening them, they gasped. The library was back to its usual level of tidiness. Twilight admired her handiwork with a smile.
"Just a little spell I found,"
she said as she laughed at her friends' open-mouthed stares.
"Now every pony form a circle."
The 6 mares stood around the table in the middle of the room. On Twilight's instructions, they held hoofs.
"Okay."
Twilight checked the scroll again.
"Here goes."
The unicorn closed her eyes as her horn illuminated once more, covering the room with a dull purple cloud.
"Spirits of Equestria, I beseech you,"
Twilight said.
"I seek the spirit of the human named Geo, my lost love. Bring him before me, so that I might commune with him."
Twilight opened one eye and looked around expectantly.
"Twilight, are you sure this is gonna work?"
whispered Applejack.
"It has to,"
Twilight whispered back.
"Otherwise I'm out of ideas."
"Spirits of Equestria, I must talk with my love. I need to hear his voice once more." Twilight's eyes filled with tears.
"I need closure. Only then can I attempt to move on."
Silence.
"I beg you, Geo, please speak to me,"
Twilight yelled.
"I need this. I need you."
Mocking laughter forced Twilight's eyes open. She and the others looked around, their eyes soon focusing on the cloud floating above their heads.
Did you really think that this would work?
The voice was full of contempt and dripping with venom. You're not Geo, Twilight shouted. Show yourself! The cloud floating around the room suddenly descended until it was on eye level with the 6 mares. It span around rapidly, morphing into various creatures before eventually settling on a particular one. The friends gasped.
Discord!
Rainbow Dash cried. No, impossible!
Relax, my little ponies, Discord spat. I'm only here in spirit, since my body is still frozen in stone, thanks to you.
What do you want, Discord? Twilight said flatly.
Oh, nothing,
Discord said with a grin.
I just stopped by to tell you that you're wasting your time.
Oh, yeah? Applejack snarled. And how would you know that?
Because,
said Discord gleefully,
I'm the only spirit here.